Thanks for joining me on the channel today. This is Tom. You're watching Joy en Route. On this day, I arrived and was greeted to a beautiful sunset at Lewis and Clark State Park in northwestern North Dakota, just a little east of the city of Williston, North Dakota, on Lake Sakakawea, which is fed by the Missouri River. It took me a minute to figure out exactly what I wanted to say about this area of North Dakota, aside from its obvious beauty. I guess I came to the realization that, hey, you're out in the Bakken oil fields of North Dakota. This is where the oil boom was going down until, well, close to 4 years ago, when the Biden administration kind of put our energy production capabilities to sleep. What I think really struck me about driving through the Bakken oil fields between Newtown, North Dakota, and Williston, North Dakota, kind of stopping in the middle at Lewis and Clark State Park, is how unintrusive all of the fracking infrastructure is. Now, I don't mean to say that it's not completely unintrusive. Yes, you do see it. Yes, you do notice it. But it's not like driving into a wind farm, for instance, where you have just dozens of these massive three-bladed windmills, mostly just sitting there doing nothing because either the wind's not blowing or, I don't know why. A lot of them will just sit there not moving at all, regardless of the wind. But they're big, they're often white, their blades are like the length of a football field, and they're not recyclable. They catch on fire. They require hundreds of gallons of petroleum-based lubricants on an annual basis because they're a big turning thing, and when things turn and they're big and they're metal and whatnot, there's friction, so that has to be lubricated. Maybe that's also why they catch on fire, because that friction generates heat. But more than that, the sheer devastating consequence that these wind farms have on the local beauty of the surroundings is just so saddening. So it wasn't lost on me as I drove through the Bakken oil fields that, yes, there's some petroleum extraction technology sitting here on the ground, and yes, you can see it, but one of the best things about the Bakken oil fields is that clearly, as they were installing this infrastructure to frack this oil out of the ground, they took care to blend all of the infrastructure into the surroundings. So they used earth tone colors rather than stark white or whatever to better blend what they were placing on the plains in with the surrounding landscape. So in cases where they were near more greenery, then you would see kind of the olive drab colors that more closely matched the surroundings. If they were in a more sandy or blonde colored area of landscape, then the tanks and other equipment was more sand colored. So it blended very well, and it's not like it was just a horrible eyesore. Anyway, let's drive through the Bakken oil fields of North Dakota. Well, good morning. It's what day is today? Today today is Saturday. You lose track of time sometimes out here. I don't know what to say. Today is Saturday, and it's my last day here at the Lewis and Clark State Park in western North Dakota. Because it's a beautiful-ish morning. Give you a look outside the window here. I think we should get out there and maybe take a look at those beautiful bluffs along the shores of Lake Sakakawea and the Colorado River. And I'm noticing that I don't have my external mic up and running, so I'm going to do that. Let's see here. Okay, mic is recording. Get that clipped on over here, I guess. Okay, now we should be ready to go. Before I walk away here, though, I'm going to try to correct something that I did yesterday. And I don't know, it seemed to work a little bit yesterday, but it's not working today. So here's the problem. And this is something that us digital nomads kind of find ourselves struggling with, and that is getting good internet out in what otherwise would seem to be fairly remote locations. And this isn't really that remote. The city of Williston, excuse me, the city of Williston is not too far to the west of us right here. So I should be getting pretty good signal from here. But as I look at Cell Mapper, which is a website where you can go and you can figure out where all the cell towers are around you, it looks to me like I've got about 3 equally spaced towers almost encircling me. One is a little bit west of Williston, I think. One is north of where I am, and one is south of where I am on the other side of Lake Sakakawea. And so I'm just, and they're, I don't know, I haven't tried to figure out how far they are but, as the crow flies, but I think they're a fairly substantial difference. I'm managing to pull about 3 bars of T-Mobile 5G in this area, but let me just show you with just pointing the camera at my computer screen here what I'm getting. So yeah, you can see that on the speed test website this morning I'm getting 4.68 down. If you're going to stream at 1080p, you're going to need at least 5. And better that you have about 6. But look at the upload speed. It's not 1. It's not even 0.1. It's 0.09. That is effectively nothing. And it's just crushing any hope of getting decent internet here and even being able to watch YouTube or anything like that. And but it's weird because like a couple of days ago when I first got here, I had good enough internet. I was definitely breaking well over 6 on the download, and upload I was probably only about 0.5, but frankly that's enough. And then within 48 hours, for whatever reason, it just started tanking. And so I don't know whether T-Mobile is just deprioritizing me for some reason. I don't know. I'm not streaming that much. And usually during the day, I'm just working on the computer or I'm out hiking around or doing something else. And so I'm not really much of a factor on their towers. But I don't know. Yesterday morning, I got notification of a Windows update. So I thought, okay, maybe Windows is downloading crap in the background and I'm just not even aware of it. So then I started looking at, network usage, that sort of thing, but I couldn't really find anything that was, that should have been that, impactful on the signal. So I don't know what's going on. But so for the past couple of days, I've just had the worst internet, and it's continuing this morning. Yesterday, I tried something very Rube Goldbergish, and so we're going to go and take a look at that and actually just reverse it, because it doesn't seem to be working this morning. Interestingly, last night it worked pretty well. I was able to stream a show and watch a little stuff on YouTube, but anyway, let's get outside and I'll show you up in the cab what I've done to try and get a little better internet. Oh yeah, nice day. Give you a little spin around here. The park has definitely seen an uptick in campers. I was like the only person on this row this entire week. Well, since Tuesday when I got here. Tuesday? Was it Tuesday? But anyway, so here's my solution. Well, kind of my solution. I got to unlock the screen in the back here. There we go. Yeah, so I've literally hung my antenna by rubber bands, so it's boing, 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 bouncing around here. It did, provide a different orientation for the antenna to sit in, and it seemed to have some sort of an effect. But, yeah, not really feeling it anymore. Not sure why. Again, I don't get it. I'm going to turn this thing into a tripod and lift you up here, and you can kind of see what I'm doing while I'm doing it. But I'm just going to kind of reverse this and put it back on the door where I normally have it. So we'll just get it off the rubber bands here. And as you can see, I just use the suction cup mounts that come with the antenna as a place to hook the rubber bands onto. But I'm just going to take these off now, because the suction cups that I have on the door over here have hooks that I can just hook into these holes, and that works fine. I'll just put these in the door, and then yeah, so that's how I normally have it over here in the door. Oh, I guess you couldn't see that. Sorry about that. Yeah, so there's here, I'll just take that off, and you can see there's a couple of suction cups there, and they have hooks that made up with those, so I can just hang it. Usually that works. And when I close the door and kind of look at the antenna and then look opposite that, I should be looking down there. Now, of course, I have had a couple of RVs pull in here, but even yesterday, it wasn't doing so well before they arrived. So I don't think it's really so much that I've got RVs blocking my path, but I don't know. We'll see if that gets me back to where I was before. But anyway, let's go out and walk. It's time to walk. Now let me make sure that I lock the door first. All right, we're good. And I'll come down here this way and hit the trail. There's a trail access here, kind of close to where this road tees into the main park road. So we'll go out that direction and then head out towards the shore. It is a stunningly beautiful park, I will certainly say that. And really beautiful. So I think, well, there's a couple of different ways I can get to the trail. One is right here. There's another access through the shrubs over on that side, but I noticed the other day that there's also one that starts right here. Literally a basketball court here. And there were kids out here playing with a basketball yesterday. Imagine that, on a basketball court. There's a marina right down here. With a bunch of boats, which is what you would expect to find at a marina. It's a small little inlet right here. It's a little breakwater out there. And yesterday on that road over there, the park office is right over in that area too, but apparently that's, if you go down there, that's a boat launch there. And I don't know what was going on. It was while I was out filming last night's footage. But somebody, I don't know if they just didn't have the traction or what was going on, but they were just screeching their tires trying to get up that hill, and I presume they were pulling a boat. It kind of looked like it. I could barely tell what was going on because I was way over there somewhere looking back. But they were just squealing their tires. It's like a drag race or something. But I hope they managed to get up the, well, apparently they did get up the hill. They're not sitting there right now, but the morning light hits the bluffs over there on the other side just right, so that you get kind of that beautifully sculpted appearance. I've got a little park bench here that they put up to let people stop and take a look at the scene, but I'm just going to use it as a tripod place while I get out my other camera. And we'll get some footage from there. Because one thing that I can do with my phone that I can't do with the DJI is zoom. Go all the way out to 10x and really get a look at those dunes out there. And I was saying last night on the video that I really thought that this is so representative of North Dakota. And the reason I say that is that throughout much of North Dakota, especially western North Dakota, you get these very rolling hills that are just gently rolling. They're not harsh, real sharp cut lines like a butte or whatnot might be that has almost a cliff face to it. These are just very gently rolling, and it's as if they've been weathered by eons of time and just smoothed out. And you know, the grasses and scrub grows all over them and whatnot, and it just gives them a very gentle look. But I love the way the morning light kind of lights up the different faces of the of the bluffs. Very beautiful. Okay, let me put the tripod back down, lift you up here a little bit, and we'll go walk over by where we were last night. And then I'll take you back through the campground. See all the campers that came pretty much yesterday, late afternoon. This is Memorial Day weekend. Memorial Day is Monday the 2nd of September. Today being the 31st of August. And I was kind of surprised that I was able to book a Friday night at this park because, you know, over the weekend, this is when, Friday night is when typically people start pouring into the park, and that certainly happened last night. Not as much as I might have thought, though, and I'm almost wondering whether or not we're at a place in time where people are just considering that it's over for the season, and maybe they have other plans with family or whatever for the Labor Day weekend. And but I don't know. Who can get into the minds of others? I don't think we can. North Dakota does a good job of kind of cutting their trails. So they're typically pretty wide. This has been a great park to be in, with a few noticeable or notable issues for me personally. And for others might not be a big thing, but as you might have noticed on the loop road that Joy is currently parked at, the campsites are, I don't want to say right next to each other, but it's just a row of campsites. It's not a road that twists around or something, and it provides kind of more seclusion for each of the campsites. So you're kind of you're looking at your neighbor. I've never found that to be a really great feature of a park. And they only have one shower house, kind of more or less centrally located, and I'm out on one of the furthest away roads from that bathhouse. One thing I don't really like to do is take a hike after taking a shower, especially if it's going to be hot and muggy or something outside. I'll just get all sweaty before I even get back, and there goes the whole point of taking the shower in the first place. But the bathhouse is well maintained and clean, so that's great, and there's plentiful hot water. Yeah, so here's where we were last night taking a look. And instead, we're on the other side of the day. So we get to look at it in a different light. Yeah, so over this way, it does feel like there's more of a butte-like appearance to the bluffs. It's starting to get that way. I think the further west we go, we're going to see that. I believe I was mentioning yesterday that we are passing through the dry line in the United States. So if you were to kind of take a look at Google Maps, and instead of looking at the satellite view, if you switch to terrain view, one of the things that you'll see is that the eastern side of the United States is tinted green, and the western half has got an awful lot of tan. And that basically, and it kind of splits the country right in two, and that's the dry line. Running north-south through the country. Mostly people who live in the United States are well aware of that, so I'm just preaching to the choir here. But for those of you who may be from overseas, from a different country, whatever, you may not know that about the United States, but yeah, that is a thing. Interesting how the driftwood is all up here. I don't know whether this, they must have put it here. It looks just a little bit too planned, but there's a lot of driftwood here. And I think as we continue the trek into Montana, things might continue to, number one, get a little bit sharper and more more stark and more cliff-like than rolling hills. And the other thing is I think that at least on the eastern side of Montana, if I'm kind of seeing this correctly, it looks like it's going to be, because I've never been to Montana, tomorrow will be my very first time setting foot in Montana, so I don't really know what to expect, but it looks to me like, we're moving away from a place where there's lots of trees and forests, and we're getting more into the plains where there's just grasses and scrub and whatnot, and so that's kind of what we have to look forward to. On the western side of Montana, we're going to get into the eastern face of the Rockies, so that will be a whole different story. Let me just kind of set up the tripod here and get some pictures with, I should have put out the legs before I extended the tripod there. Let's see here. Okay, legs out. And the cool thing about DJI cameras is that even though the tripod is leaning pretty heavily right now, you're probably seeing it perfectly level. That's kind of a cool feature of DJI. Okay, video on the phone. And we're just gonna take a quick look at the rocky shoreline here and those gently rolling hills across the water on the bluff. Apparently one of the largest man-made lakes in the world here, this thing, Lake Sakakawea. If you, again, are hanging out in Google Maps and just look at North Dakota as the entire state, you can't miss Lake Sakakawea. It's just the huge water feature that's sort of right in the middle of the state on the western half of on the western shore, or on the western side of the state. there has always been a bit of, I don't know if you can hear it, a bit of an industrial hum out here. And I'm going to see if I can maybe show you what that could be. I'm not 100% sure, but one thing that you may be aware of is that here in western North Dakota, northwestern North Dakota, and out into eastern Montana, northeastern Montana, are the fracking fields. And so we are extracting quite a bit of, apparently, good, clean, sweet crude oil from here. And the fracking infrastructure is actually quite prominent. It's something that you see, and I don't know if that's kind of where that industrial hum is kind of coming from. That would be a little bit sad to know that there's kind of a noise pollution factor to it. One would think that the visual pollution would be the bigger issue, but interestingly, I would say no, not really. The I mean, although you see the fracking infrastructure almost everywhere, and it probably exploded out of like almost nowhere, because it's like this whole, finding of incredible amounts of oil in this area is fairly new. I think when I was stationed in North Dakota back in the late 70s, nobody really knew about it. And or if they did know about it, they weren't clear on the extent of it, or technology hadn't really gotten to a place where it could be more easily extracted. It was too expensive to get to it, whatever. But not the case now. And like I say, the infrastructure has become kind of everywhere. But the cool thing that I noticed is that they are blending the infrastructure in with the surroundings. So you don't really, I mean, you notice it, but it's no more intrusive than, say, a farmhouse or a grain silo or something like that would be. And we're all pretty much accustomed to seeing that kind of thing. And basically the way they've kind of camouflaged all this petroleum infrastructure is by using earth tone colors to kind of just blend everything in. I will show you a picture of what that looks like, or maybe even this morning I'll head over to a place where I noticed that from here I could even see some storage tanks and a pump jack operating. My understanding, though, is that they're discovering that the extent of the oil fields here are so much more than they originally had thought them to be. So it's like we have between this area of North Dakota and Montana, and Alaska, which is also apparently now being found to be just full of oil. This nation is not going to be suffering for energy. And I will leave any debate regarding the ethical use of petroleum products to the comments. Be kind, and if you're going to start pontificating about climate change, you better have your facts straight. There's one website that I think is, or one YouTube video channel that I think kind of exposes a lot of the myths surrounding so-called climate change very well, and that is the Climate Discussion Nexus on YouTube. The Climate Discussion Nexus. Go there. If you are just regurgitating talking points that you've heard and that you've just believed on faith, it's probably time to actually get a better read on the situation. It's not what you think. But anyway, as you can see, a lot of campers in the park now. This was all completely empty yesterday morning. And I always find it fascinating, all the different ways that people find to camp. Little teardrop towables, Class C's. Boy, that almost looks like one of the new embassies, but Embassy doesn't have slide outs, don't need them. Great play yard here for the kids. And this is the dump station. Something you always find at a state park. And here's the bathhouse. They have antennas up on the roof, which makes me think that at one time they must have had Wi-Fi infrastructure here, but I'm picking up no Wi-Fi signal, so I don't know what's up with that. They need to disperse the dumpsters throughout the campground a little bit more, although I do have a regular waste can kind of close to me, so that's fine. Yes, this is probably long enough as it is already. I'm just going to shut down here for a bit and catch back up with you after I've gotten over to where I can kind of take a look at some of that petroleum infrastructure, and we'll give you a little view of that. See you in a minute. Okay. Got the trusty phone here. Come on, turn on. There we go. And we'll zoom way in. And there it is up there. I noticed there's a pump jack on the left side of that. It looks like it's behind that telephone pole or blocked some way. But yeah, that's That's what I mean by they're using earth tones to kind of blend the infrastructure into the surrounding environment, so it's not quite as stark. Certainly nowhere near as stark as one of those stupid windmills, painted bone white, with blades the size of a football field, just standing there mucking up the scenery. This, like I say, is little more than like a grain silo or something that you might see at a farm. And the further out you go, it's like you're not really noticing it at all. I mean, you kind of see it, but it's not like it's blowing out your eyeballs. All right, so let's head back to my loop. All right, so as we approach Joy again, I will be here until, I'm thinking roughly 2:30 this afternoon, before heading out for Williston. I'll be wally docking over there for a night and getting some additional supplies, replenishing a little bit. And then it's on to Montana. So I'll be in Montana day after next. So next you see me, I will be in Montana. Look forward to seeing you there in the next video.